Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up? Hey, Lisa. Hey, Arturo. How you guys doing? Glad you can make it. Um, yeah, we're just getting started here, and I'm just kind of letting things sync up. Had a little problem with Facebook, so I switched it over to Twitch. We'll see what that does. I got Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube running tonight. Um, and tonight we have the Driven Dad, Tony, and Tony lives in the same city as me, and we're both in Denver. So, Tony, how you doing? Thanks for coming on tonight.
I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so got some things that to go through with you, and especially you and I in the same town. That's pretty cool because we both. How long have you been here?
Well, I was born in Colorado, but I've been back in Denver from Austin, Texas since 2013.
So you were here till 2013, your whole life left, or
Uh,
until whenever you left, went to Austin, came
right,
back in 2013.
right.
So you're pretty much a native Colorado here.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in
Uh,
Colorado, lived in a few states as a kid, came back to Colorado in high school, moved away to Austin, came back in 2013.
right on. So William, what's up? Truth, what's up? Thomas, what's up? Marissa, what's up? And in case Arturo bailed, it was 6:35. Arturo and Lisa, what's up again? Thanks everybody for joining us. And yeah, so so okay, before I even jump into anything, I remember not far back you had a run with COVID, and I was looking at your videos, and you
Yeah,
have videos basically 5 months back and beyond. You have a bunch of videos, and then there was
uh-huh.
like a 4 month gap, and now there's been like 4 videos or 3 videos out since that gap. Is that
Right.
is that you? Are you now coming back and doing videos again? Was there a pause?
Yeah, definitely. I did some videos and um, for a while I was doing a little bit of like updates on rideshare, and then I got a full-time job, so videos went on hold. Then we had baby number four, decided to get back into doing some videos, and then just ended up getting busy with the kids and everything, and editing videos takes time.
Yeah,
So
it does.
yeah, so I'm trying to right
But
now
it's
just figure out a good
that's what I'm saying.
workflow.
It seems like you're coming back. I mean, and we're gonna get around to part of why that is,
Yeah.
or what I think is something cool you have going on. But I know you had a run in with COVID there too. That had nothing to do with it. That was just traveling bad luck, right?
Right. Well, when I was heading out of town, it was about a day after we were going to visit somebody in Arizona. About a day afterwards, I got a call from some family that they had it. And so as soon as I got there, I ran a test, came back negative, did a second test 3 days later, and came back positive. So that person that we were visiting, they had already had COVID. So we headed back home as soon as I got a positive test because I was like, I don't want to be stuck down here in case I need anything. I want to be home, and was able to get back home before any of the major symptoms hit. Like even I was home for a day, and my wife was feeling a lot more tired than me, and I was running around trying to take care of the kids. And then the next day, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you got it pretty bad, right?
Yeah, I ended up.
I mean, because I've we've all heard all the variables from. I've had COVID twice,
Oh, okay, yeah,
so I had it in summer 2020. It just about killed me, and I'm not kidding.
okay,
Like it was very, very bad, super, super bad, and it was before there was any kind of. It was at that point when all the hospitals were flooded, so it was more scary to even go to the hospital because if you didn't have it, you'd
right,
walk out with it, and there was
right,
nobody was really on to anything on what you could do.
right,
Whether it be vaccines or throwing the kitchen sink at it or whatever you choose to do, it's, none of that was around. It was basically just, oh, you have it, and they were either going to, put you in ICU or send you home. So I was like,
right,
ICU is going to kill me. So I'll just stay home. But it got so bad I had to go to like an urgent care and found out I had asthma again that I hadn't had in 30 years. Or at least that's what they did, because my blood O2 was at 78. So she gave me a couple steroid shots, let me go. And she said, anything under 85, she was supposed to call an ambulance and have me moved to the hospital. And I had told her I came to urgent care because I'm trying to avoid the hospital, because if I don't have COVID, I will walk out of there with it. And she seemed to look at me and kind of understand what I was saying. Like, yeah, you will. So she just gave me a bunch of shots, put me on, I can't remember what it's called. I mean, I still have them and try to take them, but Singular, I think it was, for asthma, which I had never been on. And I got every side effect. When they ramble off those 100 side effects on a commercial, I got every one. But it did help me though. I was like itching, couldn't sleep, sweating, night sweats, terrors, everything was going on bad. But it was helping me breathe, and I had an inhaler too. But then the last time was like nothing. I was in May or April of this year of 2021. I got it again. I was playing golf with a buddy who had just got over it, we thought, and still must have had it because he passed it to me. And I had it for a few days, and that was it. Felt less than the flu the second time around, but
your body
I think
had
yours
a lot
was
of
pretty bad.
Yeah, I ended up going to the hospital because I thought maybe I was getting pneumonia. I'd had it before. I'd had pneumonia before, so I was super cautious. And when I started coughing and blood was in the phlegm, I was like, I better go get checked out and everything. And basically, they gave me an inhaler with that. I think it's albuterol or something, one of those steroids for asthma.
Yeah, that's
and
they must give that to everybody who gets COVID, because I keep hearing that people who don't even have asthma are getting, like, they're just like, here, you take. They're just.
Well, I got that same steroid when I had pneumonia, and it really just opens up your bronchioles so that they don't like feel so tight, like you're about to have your lungs collapsing on themselves. So I think that steroid did help me prevent from getting pneumonia, because the cough was just insane. They said basically I was having blood is because I was coughing hard enough to cause the bronchioles to bleed.
That's what happened the first time I had it too. And it was that's when I really started getting worried. It was coming out like almost every series of coughs. I was getting some, and I was getting like, whoa, this is not okay.
Right. Yeah, so I just decided, take the rest. I was watching my O2 like crazy, but that thing knocked me down pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't recommend
you were out for weeks. I remember we were emailing and you were out for weeks.
Yeah, so from the time I tested positive to the time that I felt like I could actually be better was the full 14 days. And then from there until when I could feel like I'm not like so tired was another week and a half. It's like I could go and I couldn't even work like 3 hours before I was like exhausted, and my appetite was still not, I didn't have an appetite at all, really.
Yeah, it took me months to come back with my energy levels. I don't know how it was just weeks for you. I mean, maybe it was slow comeback, but it felt like it was months for me. I mean, I was just like, wow, the first time. I was going from this like old man style walk where I was like, barely getting to my bathroom kind of thing. Like, everything was a challenge.
Yeah. Well, and then I have like 3 sets of stairs. They're not like full sets, but it's probably about a level and a half on the house, that because ours is like tri-level. It'd be like going up 1.5 flights of stairs every day just to get to where the kids are and back to where I'm staying at. But yeah, the kids, they got COVID too, but it didn't really affect them. And I'm glad we have some teenagers.
I think the kids bounce back really, really good. I mean, You can pick out select cases, but most kids bounce back from COVID pretty good.
Yeah,
I
as
don't know.
long
I
as they
haven't heard
don't
many
have,
stories of yeah.
as long as they
I
don't
don't know.
have any other.
What's your oldest kid?
So
What's your oldest?
we have our oldest four are girls, so it's 15, 13, 10, and 3, and then the baby turns 1 in a few days, actually, about a week.
Wow. Wow. Hands full.
Yeah,
You got your
definitely.
hands full, bro.
That's why that COVID
I
was
got one. I
messy,
got
man.
one kid. I got one 15-year-old,
Yeah,
but I was locked in the house with a teenager for over a year during the pandemic, and that's tough when they're just entering teenageness and crawling out of their skin and stuff, and just like,
right.
oh, dude, just and
Well,
it was
we've been
just him and
home.
I.
Yeah, well, we've been
Oh boy,
homeschooling our kids since the oldest were in second and third grade. So it wasn't too strange. The strange thing was that, even though we homeschool, we're out and about with them a lot, being able to do things, and then they had to be locked in the house. It was like, what? Why do we have to be at home?
right? Yeah. Well, I guess that answered that question since the whole world did. Um, so Tony, when did you start an app-based gig economy? Which app or apps? Like
Yeah.
what turned you into this?
So, and I think it's 2017, and
Okay.
about 5 years ago now. It was in January when I started doing Uber. My brother had did a few Uber rides in his car. And I'd heard about Uber just because my job has a lot of travel for people coming in to where I was working at, and then usually they would like have us lined up to go pick them up from the airport. Well, then suddenly, like it was like people were not getting picked up at the airport by myself or one of my managers. It was like, oh yeah, we just Ubered over. I was like,
Right.
okay. And I was like, is that even safe? Do you know these people?
Think that's the story of every one of us. I'm sure everybody in chat can relate to this. I mean, it is hard to recall it, but the first time you ever heard about Uber, saw one pull up, and it's not
Uh-huh.
yours, let's say, it's just the first time you'd heard the word, and then somebody actually was just like, I just Ubered here, and you're like, what? With a
Yeah, I don't
stranger?
even, I,
Then we all became that stranger. We were
right.
like, oh, let's just do this and make some money, man.
I think I'd heard of it on like the radio or something. One of those radio people were talking about ride sharing, and my idea of it was like people were sharing their car with you, and like you drove their car. Kind of like Turo was what I was thinking Uber was when I had first heard about it. But then I realized like it was like a carpool, but not a carpool.
Right. It's actually,
Like, how do you?
I was doing limo driving then too, and I'll tell you, it was actually just more like personal for hire car.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think of it as just trips. I was like, this is weird. This is exactly the way that the limo company does for hire. And like,
Uh huh.
if they throw me a set of keys and say you're driving black car today, and I'd have
Uh
one
huh.
client driving around for 5 hours. It just felt like that, even though they were shorter trips and whatnot, and you never knew
Right.
what was going on. But I got in it early too, and here in Denver, the pay was great. In the beginning, like when I got into it in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
I started with Lyft, and I was mentioning this on another podcast a little ways back. When I onboarded with Lyft, they made me go to Sloan's Lake and meet a guy um, at one of the parking lots who was supposed to be my Lyft. I don't know, my Lyft trainer or kind of. They weren't like they weren't avoiding the employee policy yet about the
Right.
platform. So they were like, "You're gonna have this guy train you." I went over there, and the guy's like, "Oh man, it's awesome. You don't have to accept any rides. You can sit at home. You can just leave it on, take a ride when you feel like it." Like he gave me all the wrong information. Everything he told me went against everything I had read on Lyft. I was like, this
Right.
guy doesn't even know what he's doing. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, And back then it did. If it went below, I can't remember what it was, I never did, like 80% acceptance, they really
Uh-huh.
did take you off the platform. You're done.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
know with food delivery and even rideshare these days, I don't think they care as much because they really have to watch it. But I remember then, it was like, if you were under 80, it was just automatic, you're done. You'd go warn around 85, whatever. This guy was saying, just sit home, take whatever you want. And I was thinking, how can that be? First I thought I have to take all of this. I kept seeing
Yep.
acceptance rating, and I was like, don't, you know, I was thinking, like, if anything, like, if I let the drop, I'm not going to get rides.
Right.
Like, I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, at 80 or 85, I'm deactivated, but I was thinking, man, if you screw around with this, why would they keep giving you rides? Of course you
Yeah.
won't keep it high.
I thought the same thing, and I thought like you had to be driving around too, because it seemed
Oh,
like when I
really?
was just sitting there, I wouldn't get anything. So I was like, well, let me go onto I-25 and then I'd get one. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that it was just the timing of when I got on I-25 just happened to be when a ride came through.
Um, so, hey, Kim, what's up? How are you? Just saw you pop in. So you did Uber, and then, did you end up doing Lyft too?
Yeah, so I started off with Uber in January, and then I had actually done a lot of research on YouTube. I found Uberman, I found the Simple Driver, um, and I think the Rideshare Professor were the main ones that I'd seen at that time. And so I had like all this stuff that I thought I needed, and um, well, I mean, a lot of the stuff was good to have, but
Right.
um, basically, I've done all this research, and then like the rideshare professor was like, you should use two apps, and the simple driver is like, you should only use Uber. Let me show you why. Because you type in Lyft, nothing. You type in Uber, it's just like everywhere. So I was like, you know what? I feel like if I at least have Lyft running on the side, I could fill in the gaps when Uber's not giving me a ride all the time. And even in 2017, Uber was paying not as good as when you started, but it was still pretty decent. There was a lot of surges, and
Oh, yeah. And
um,
I think 2017, it still had the multiplier.
yeah. And
So
what I would end
I
up,
mean, and you and I can both tell everybody in this chat that Denver on a weekend or whatever,
oh yeah,
that multiplier was up there. I mean, it might not have been like in your top 5 cities in this country, but guarantees in the top 20.
yeah, I would do once they released Uber Eats. Uh, I think they had released it right before I started, but then I found out about it because it kept sending me a message in the inbox about Uber Eats. So I was like, all right, I'll put on Uber Eats too. And I found out that like if I hung out at university, I would get all those Jerusalem restaurant requests while everybody else is doing the drunk people, and I would
Uh,
be getting like $50 every 10 minutes by just delivering Jerusalem restaurant to people.
and I
And
forgot. I've been there since the pandemic. I love that place. I'm there in years now, and I used to go that used to be my only reason for going down there was Jerusalem Garden.
yeah, right
That
there
was,
by
I maybe go see a DU hockey game. I don't know what's
right.
though,
And then
but
afterwards you go there because
I'd
it's
hit
open
I'd hit
24.
that all the time. I didn't know they were open late though.
Yeah, they're
And
open 24 on the weekends.
really,
Yeah, because of all the college kids.
yeah, I guess they don't have a ton of restaurants down there really for a
Well,
small college
I don't know.
town.
It's like whenever I'd be doing Uber over there and picking up, it'd be busy with people, just like
Yeah,
slammed every night at like even 2 in the morning, just like it was in the middle of lunch on a Saturday.
yeah. When I remember when Uber Eats first came around, and we've talked about this before, is that I really don't remember them doing a lot of business here in Denver. I mean, I remember it came around. I knew a couple people who were trying it, and they were just like, "Man, there's
Hmm.
nothing there to be had."
Yeah, I just turned it on whenever it was time for people to be drunk because I tried like all those strategies where you go downtown for the nuggets or the abs, and I always got screwed over. I'd like get this huge surge, but I'd go like 2 miles. So then the surge
Right.
only paid me, it didn't even pay me but like a $3 times five, $15. I was like, and it took me an hour just to go 2 miles. So I was
I
like, I
think
gotta
there's
figure
something to
something
the
out.
algorithm that has always been there. I believe this, that I think there's something to the algorithm because I know what you're saying, where if like an event was letting out and you had that way, even a half hour before it was out,
Hmm.
and you just kind of were waiting for the surge. I've always had this thought that like if you were down in Lodo, which for those of you listening is like we have the baseball field on one side and then the basketball, hockey on the other side, and the football's on the other side too. So in between all that is Lodo, lower downtown. And I always had a feeling if you were working Lodo, you would be able to get 2 or 3 out of a Nuggets game or something
Uh-huh.
like during the surge. But I felt like if me or you drove in to town, we'd be lucky to get one and it would never pan out the way we wanted.
Right. It would be
I
like,
felt
yeah,
like
I got
you'd
this
go
huge
into the
surge.
circus and they'd just be like, fine, here's a ride for you at that rate. But it was never anywhere near the ride I was kind of hoping on. So I kind of learned with time to stay away from surge. Obviously, if I'm in it, I'll stay there, but I would never
Right.
chase to it because I always knew that
Yes.
was Uber's way of saying we need more drivers here.
Yep.
And by me going there, it was like, by the time I get there, you're not going to need me.
Yeah. It's just a bait and switch is what it
Yeah.
ended up being.
Well, it's just a
But
bait. It's not even a switch. It's just like, hey, come over here. Like, why?
well, when I first started and I would chase a surge, it was a bait and switch because I'd get there and then the surge is gone before I could even touch it. And I was like,
Right.
oh, now I got to
Yeah.
take a ride over here anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to play
That
the surge in the beginning. I'd play with the surge a little bit. I'd be like, not yet, not yet, not yet. I'd like watch
right.
it. And it would always blow my mind because it screwed up. Because I
Well,
knew
right.
that, and I kind of knew in my head that the algorithm wanted you in the realm of cars available for a minute or two before it actually was going to
Right.
ping you out. So it's like if you were like, there it is, there's the peak, and you turned on, I feel like you get tossed to the back, which is how it should be
Uh-huh.
of a virtual line. And it
Right.
wasn't like necessarily the closest car to the person because like like when a Rockies game lets out, it just
Right.
explodes in all directions.
Uh-huh.
So all people calling Ubers, they're just probably, my guess is the algorithm switches from closest driver to who's been within 2-mile radius for the longest, and then go down a
Uh-huh.
line of time and give it to all those drivers in that kind of order.
Yeah, now they have all these stupid Uber Diamond, Platinum, Gold, Blue, and
I know they did
allegedly,
then too. The games are just ridiculous.
right. Allegedly, if you accept more or whatever, you hit their numbers, you get the priority, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. William here says like he chases the peak pace sometimes, but this we haven't even touched on food, William. This is just for
Right.
rideshare, and for rideshare, know that you'd never do it, William. But you never chase it. I
Yeah,
mean,
the only thing I
you might
would
have got lucky a
suggest,
time or two. Somebody might have a story or 3 or whatever about how they did good chasing it, but I can tell you, it was never worth it to chase it.
the only place you can chase a surge in Denver and it be worth it is if you're kind of close to the airport already. You're pretty much guaranteed if it's surging and it's weather or some
Right.
other place had a lot of delays and then they're getting into Denver, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to get a good ride out of the airport. But that's the only place, unless you know over history by looking at the surge map, it's going to be surging there. So then you just plant yourself there and wait for it to happen.
I live near live right on the border of Park Hill and Stapleton. So I
Okay,
would
yeah.
get pings here from the airport if it was surging big enough at my house.
Yeah. I live
Like
southeast Aurora.
that's for those listening. That's like a 20-mile ride. I'd still get ping out
Yeah.
here, and I
I live
was
in
always like, man, the
southeast.
guy's someone's gonna cancel. They're gonna see him so far out and get on Pena. It's gonna cancel.
Right.
And then maybe it'll still be surging. But then now I'm out at the airport and I don't want to be there.
Right. Well,
So
that's where
I always played that smart. For some reason, I never picked him up from home. I would always take a redirect. I hated the staging lot. I've seen it go through many phases. Even you probably have. And I believe in
yeah.
2017, they were still over in that other lot, like where you're just about to the terminal and you turn off to the right.
Yeah. So
Before they put it all behind
when
all that other stuff.
in 2017, they didn't even have a lot. Like you dropped
Maybe
off and then you had to go. But then they opened up at some point. They opened up that lot that's over there by the shuttles.
Yes.
And then now it's moved over to the
Yeah.
commercial lot.
And now, and then some. They've
Right.
moved
Well, the
us so
commercial
far
lot
away
is way
from.
better.
Oh man, the new, I know, but I've seen some stuff go down in that lot. It's kind of like yard time in prison out there.
Oh man, the old
Like
lot,
there's
yeah.
little groups collect, little gangs hang out. There's like weird stuff going down in there all the
The only
time.
time I
It's a
would,
whole scene, and it holds too many cars.
yeah, the only time I would go there is like if I really had to go to the bathroom, because that porta john or whatever is nasty. But I
It's
really had
nasty,
to
man.
go. I would go there because I'm like, this is like the eighth ride I've done, and I've had to go to the bathroom this whole time. I'm
Right.
gonna stop because I didn't get a rematch or whatever. And but yeah, if the only time I'll go to the waiting lot is if there's 10 or less and there's a surge, because otherwise I'll just go down to Tower Road and get something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do too. Go poach tower and just kind of
Yeah.
slowly go back and forth those 3 blocks between the hotels
Yeah, well
till I got
now
something
with
that sent me to the airport or back downtown.
yep, now with the
Uh,
what is that? The Gaylord, so many
mhm.
people are leaving there to the airport because they don't have their own shuttle to the airport. It kind of makes it okay because then you can rematch finally out of the airport to downtown or something.
Right. So then the pandemic hit. You've been doing this since 2017. Hey, what's up, Mart? Then the pandemic hit, and did you pivot to food?
Yeah, so I ended up driving rideshare until it got super slow. Like I think my wife and I were actually on our anniversary trip, and we had filmed a video about um, doing rideshare from a woman's perspective. And right when we did that, the next day they shut down Colorado. I was like, well, that's not good. Our video is going to not get any views. And then I did rideshare for like a week or two after that. And I was like, man, there's just no volume. And I was like, I had dabbled in DoorDash a little bit before then, and I had already done Uber Eats, but Uber Eats was super slow too. Like, I think people just weren't ordering on Uber at the beginning of the pandemic. And sorry for I hit the table and my tripod's like
Uh,
shaking.
That's all
But
right.
so, anyways, I said, all right, let me try DoorDash and see how it's going. And I had just got on to Grubhub like a month before. So I just got lucky on that, I guess. And then, yeah, everybody was ordering mainly DoorDash and Grubhub. And then maybe 4 months into it, finally Uber started getting. So I'd roll with 3 apps. I was making $60 an hour pretty much the whole day for 2 or 3 months. I was making pretty good money doing it that way. And there
Right.
was this little little glitch I found in Uber with Uber Eats. Like you could catch one of their flat surges, and you could just have. At the time, my car had Uber Select, so I just roll with
Hmm.
Uber Select on and nothing else, and keep the surge until around 10 o'clock. Everybody starts ordering McDonald's, and I know
Right.
McDonald's is everywhere, so they keep it a tight radius. It's like 1 to 2 miles. So I get $15 or whatever as a surge, go to McDonald's, pick up, and if they gave you a ping before you dropped off, then the surge stuck to the next ping. So I get the ping, I would cancel that ping after I dropped off, and then I would have the flat surge and I would wait for another good McDonald's to come through.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'll
can't.
make
I
like
mean,
two
I'm
hundred
sure I'm
dollars.
sure you had them too, but pre
Uh,
Uber Eats and even after Uber Eats was around, sadly, every drunk and their mother wanted to go through McDonald's
oh
on the
yeah,
way home for a ride. Like, dude, just stop by McDonald's. There'd be like a 3 hour line. I'd like, and I'm like, no, man. Like, I
right,
actually, that's probably one of the things I had out with most of the customers. A couple, I just like, I can drop you off there. I'm not waiting in that line. And they're like, can't get unless I have a card through the drive through. I'm like, well, figure it out. Man. Like, then somebody else come. I'm not waiting for that. They always
right,
buy you a burger, I'll buy you some. I don't need a burger, man. I'm gonna make money.
right. Or the liquor store stops, I don't mind because they're usually quick there. But they're like,
Oh
"Do you
yeah.
want something?" I'm like, "I'm driving, bro. Maybe if you give me like a Gatorade or something." But
Yeah.
I know what they're asking. You want something? They're asking if I want like a shot or a beer or
Mhm.
something. I'm like, "Nah, I don't want that."
Yeah.
Or the ones with the dispensaries now too.
Oh my
Like,
god,
yeah,
yeah.
you can't get in my car with that because
In the earliest
I
days, man,
cannot
I
stand
had
that
people
smell.
coming I had people coming to Denver
Uh-huh.
to or there were people coming to Denver when Uber was first start coming around. There were people coming to Denver just for that reason, that they wanted to come and treat it like Amsterdam a bit.
Right.
Like, oh, we're here. And so they have a hotel room and they'd go downtown and then it'd be like, wait, hey, you want a puff? Hey, can I roll in the car? Hey,
Yeah.
bought a bong. You can't pull that. Like, I just everything. And I was like, no, I'm working the rest
Yeah.
of the day. Like, and everybody acts
Yeah.
surprised. Like, dude, you're in Denver. This is all right. Like, yeah, well, it's not all right with my next passenger. It's not all right with
It's
anything.
not all
I
right
mean,
with
it's
the
illegal.
police.
You're gonna have a good time, man, but not in my car. But
Right.
um,
Yeah, I
so
was
the
driving
pandemic
down
hit.
like
You did some food. You weren't doing. Nobody was doing rideshare. When did you bounce back to rideshare a little?
so after the lockdown mandate dropped, so in
Mm-hmm.
the end of June and beginning of July, I guess, right before 4th of July, I did rideshare for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I decided, I was just gonna stick with food delivery. Um, my dad, he's a caretaker for my grandpa, he's pretty high risk category. So I was like, I can't get my dad sick. He's in the age range, my dad himself, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can't risk that. After I got um, so I did rideshare for a couple of weeks after that, and then the beginning of the year it just got super slow on food delivery, and I was like, I need to figure something else out, and I rented that Lyft electric vehicle because they give you all the charging for free. And
That's
then
what I
some
wanted
lady,
to hop. That's what I wanted to hit on next
okay, yeah,
was
go ahead.
the Tesla experience.
Yeah, so I still have
So,
a
I
Tesla
mean,
right now.
are you still doing this? How? Okay, so let me see what I have here. Like, so changing from your vehicle to Tesla. So the Tesla versus the old car: earnings, payments, gas charging. Have the
Uh-huh.
tips raised? What else should we
Yeah,
know? Like, teach those of us who do gig work what the
uh-huh.
Tesla did for you.
All right. So mainly I've got a BMW, I've got two BMWs. Like I was an idiot when I signed up for Uber. I was like, I need a nice car. If you're signing up to do rideshare, don't do that. Just
Unless
get
you're going to
yourself
do
something.
Excel.
Even
Because I
Excel
do know
isn't worth.
I do know a lot of people who make good money on Excel if they're as long as they're careful and do what they do.
Yeah, for
Well, I don't know.
me,
I shouldn't say that now, but back years ago, they were making very good money.
you could probably still make good money now. I don't vibe with that crowd, so it's
Right.
just like
Yeah.
it's dreadful for me to try to get into Excel. Like I can take people downtown, but once you get downtown with XL, it's just like round and round and round, and you got all these people trying to get in with beers and stuff. You're like, God, come on. Especially now, people can get to go alcohol. Like, no, I don't
Yeah.
think I want to do this. But
See, I actually had fun with that kind of stuff because I worked in a bar forever. I mean, I worked in the Giggling Grizzly downtown
uh-huh.
forever. I don't know if you've
Well,
ever been
that's
to the
the only
Grizzly, but
Uber I knew when I first started because I was doing Uber part time, and so I'd be nights and weekends. So
yeah.
I'll be like, that's what I thought Uber was. But then I said, you know what? The job I have sucks. I'm salaried. I make more money part time in Uber than I do my salary management position. So I did Uber full time. As like, dang, this is nice driving people to the airport, having conversations that aren't crazy, not
Mm,
having to tell people no, you can't drink beer in my car.
right.
So I got both experiences, but the reason why I got into electric vehicle is mainly because of Lyft. But some lady she ran into me from a red light, and I'm still on hold for being able to use Express Drive on Lyft. I'm allowed to drive on Lyft. I can't rent from them until the insurance closes everything out, I guess.
So
But
what's happening with how's the Tesla working then?
so the Tesla is, I'd say, similar cost, maybe a little tiny bit more, as far as uh, it's a little bit less than if you get like an Uber rental through Hertz or Avis.
Mhm.
Um, if you include their insurance, because they sell
Everything.
you
I,
on
I I
things,
I
right?
actually went through about a 5-month period where I had to use, I think it was Hertz through Lyft.
Right. So after it's like after gas, especially with the prices these days, I would spend like $600 on just the rental and gas.
Whoa.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, it was
because
much
gas
cheaper
is
when I did it.
not
I don't
cheap.
know what you were doing, man.
Well, when they give you a car, you got to take what they got. And right when I was rented from them, that all they had was a Jeep, and that's not very good on gas.
Right. No, I mean the
So,
rental rate though. Like I was,
oh,
but I think it
well,
was
the
like
rental,
2016 when I had to do it, maybe 27. I don't know.
they used to give you a specific bonus for the rental where you could get it for
Yes.
free, basically.
Right. You
They
had to
don't
pay
do that anymore.
something, but yeah. It came
Yeah,
down to like, it
it's
would be like $50 if you hit a certain amount of rides. It was like
right.
90
Yeah,
rides a week.
that was a good deal, but
Mhm.
it's better than beating up your own car.
But even if you
And
didn't, like if you did one ride, it was still only like 260.
uh, yeah, so it's like uh, so that Hertz never has anything available now. Avis will, and they advertise it's like 200 and whatever. Well, that's not even the right price because they only have like the comfort vehicles, which are closer to 300, and then you got to have their extra insurance on there, and it's just crazy. Now with the Tesla, I have commercial insurance. I can use this vehicle for my own business. I can use
Right.
it for any of the rideshare apps. I don't have to use it for rideshare at all. Um, so I get
Right.
my
You're
own,
you're you're gap covered. You could do gig work, you could be on personal, you can go up in the mountains, you go
right,
snowboarding, skiing, whatever you guys want to do. You could just off road with that thing, anything you want. You're
right.
covered. Yeah.
Yep. And then like, for example, there was this one business that I tried to get on with, but my insurance wouldn't cover it because they said I need commercial insurance for it. It was like catering order cakes. Like basically, I deliver cakes and set it up for weddings, and they're gonna
Okay.
pay me pretty good, but I couldn't do it because Allstate said, yeah, your rideshare endorsement will work for DoorDash, but it won't work for that. I was like, all right. So I could do that. I could set up my own driving company or whatever. I know people do that anyways, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it legit because I don't want to get
Yeah.
nailed by the PUC or
No,
anything.
there's
Or
there's an app out there. I forget what it is that where you can just set up your own profile and you're on there and you're
uh
working off their app. And I need to
right,
figure out the name of it again. I don't really know what it does because this was before the pandemic when it was doing anything for people, but even then, and I don't know about now because their user base was pretty small.
uh
So I don't know how many, if you it's kind of like a dumpling model, only in rideshare, which made it even harder where you have to bring your own customers or something.
right. Well, I mean that would be okay because um, basically it's like if you're going to set up your own self in Colorado, at least I don't know about other states, but you have to do the limo thing, like um, you got to have all these background checks and
Mhm.
fingerprints, and you have to apply for this and that to be able to do airport rides, and um,
I couldn't drive.
basically,
I can only. He brought me on, and he kind of used me. I was used for black car service, and I was used for be able to get the black car rides, which were awesome because I made tons of money. I had to
uh-huh,
do the 16-seater limos for
right.
proms. Like April sucked for me, dude. April and May, I was doing proms for high schoolers. It
Yeah,
sucked.
like, at least let me do the weddings.
No, I just put the wall up, man.
Yeah,
I'd occasionally like take a whiff whenever we stopped somewhere, see what they were up to. And if when they'd go
uh-huh,
into prom, I'd check back there and make sure that there was no foul play going on.
Right.
Anything.
Yeah. If I were a limo driver, I'd want to be like the one that's on that blank check.
Right. Yeah.
Just be in charge of some rich kid that is rich because they didn't they stole the check from somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the
Um,
best limo situation.
yeah. But so back to the Tesla though. So now you have you bought the Tesla? Are you
No,
leasing it?
so basically this guy he's got a business set up and investors that are helping him acquire these Teslas, and he rents out the Teslas to mainly Uber and Lyft drivers. Um, and he's
He
got
puts a
at least
charging station at your house?
no. So I charge at a supercharger.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
So
but you can
how does all that work? Do you pay you pay the supercharger?
yeah. So I use a supercharger. I can write all that off. So I can't write off the mileage.
But
Um,
so how long does it take? Because I know it's not just like pumping gas. I mean,
right. Well, it's usually about a half hour
for a full
to get.
charge.
Yeah. I mean,
Which
depends on how
which
low you
then
get
lets you
it, but
drive how long?
well, the one I have is 300-mile range. In the
Okay.
winter, it's a little bit less. So
It's
basically,
like a
if I do a
little
shift
tank
from
of gas
like
plus for most cars
right,
kind of thing.
so I do a shift at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll
Hmm.
charge around like 9:45 or 10, and then I'll switch to food delivery while I'm charging. And I charge over by Park Meadows because that one gives you a discount on the charge fee before 11 a.m. or after 6 p.m. So while I'm sitting there charging, I have the DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub running. If something comes up with my parameters, I like $2 a mile. Um, I'll go take that, just come back, and then charge up until it's not a discount anymore, and then I'll be good until the end of the day. I don't even have to charge, but I'll charge and then come home and just plug it into the slow plug, and it'll be full by the morning.
So let me ask you this metric then, if you can. Let me see if this is a metric we can do. Can you compare what you were making and obviously what you were spending? So like you're kind of
Uh-huh.
your breakdown at the end of the week. What did I spend on gas? What did I spend on this? This is the expenses, the gas, fuel, the car, everything from
Right.
your old car to the Tesla. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, are
So
you making more money?
I'm pretty much break even right now.
So
With
you make more on the Tesla, you get better tips. I know, or at least I've heard that from a lot of people in the Teslas, is that people actually tip, unlike most cars.
well,
But at the end of the
I
day, it
feel
really
like
comes out.
you get better tips no matter what kind of car, as long as it's not a hoopty.
Right.
If you give good service, like if a person
Yeah.
likes to talk, you talk with them. If they don't like to talk, you leave them alone. I have a
Yeah.
tip box in my car, and
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it has
Okay.
that little sign. I got it off of Chad's channel when I first started doing Uber,
Right.
but it's got that Dos Equis guy on there. It's like I don't always tip, but when I do, I tip my awesome Uber driver.
Yeah.
People love that sign for some reason, but um, like last week, I made in cash tips was around $80 in just cash
Nice.
tips, and that's not
Nice.
including the app. And some people double dip; they'll tip me in cash and they'll also hit me on the app too.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I never find all of my, I mean, I've done near 30,000 rides total. And all of my rides, I can't really say that I experienced very much luck with tips through the app. I got lots of cash tips,
mhm.
lots of
Yeah,
cash tips.
well,
I never really, everybody
nowadays,
everybody played that angle. They asked that question. I came up with a question or a way to get them back. If they asked me if they could
uh
tip through the app, I had to
right,
play on them. So I started playing them back. Because if they were like, I can tip you through the app, right? I'd be like, hey, yeah, and can you show me how you do that? I get people asking me all the time.
uh
So they'd have to lean forward and do it. And then I knew that, yeah, you can get out of the car and delete it, but if you do, you're just a dirt bag. And
right,
you'll know it even more than just not tipping me. You're gonna have to go back in and delete your tip to me.
right. Yeah, I never really cared if I got a tip because I figured the people who are going to tip are going to tip, and the ones that aren't going to tip. I noticed that without the shared ride stuff, my tips per ride definitely have increased. And then I
Yeah.
think a little bit that people are more cognizant of tipping after the pandemic than they were before, because people tip me like way more now than in the past. I mean, Lyft still seems like I get more in-app tips than Uber, and the Uber riders that are traditional Uber riders like to tip in cash. And then because I have that tip box in there, I think I just get people seeing that money in there the whole ride, and they're like, I've got to at least put $1 in there, and those dollars add up.
Right. Yeah. I'll even go back a little farther and say that, there was something very weird that was done in Uber in the beginning, even when it came here and Travis was still in charge, not Dara.
Right.
Travis had this, Travis's way was, let's make sure the drivers get paid well.
Yeah.
He really, he had just his nightmare ways about him, but his thing was, let's make sure the drivers get paid well.
Yeah.
But he made it a non-tipping culture when it should have been right out of the gate, because it's a service industry job. People would have just known to tip, but Travis went out of his way to kind of pledge it as, all of our drivers are paid so well, you don't need to tip. So he put into everybody's head in the beginning that if you use Uber, you don't need to tip, and all you're going to pay is that rate. And the drivers are paid so well because they were taking so much money and subsidizing our rides to make sure we were overpaid. So then when Derek came on, and took over and started shaking that a little bit and started bringing driver payback a little, then it really became noticeable how important those tips were, because it was like when you took tipping culture out of this, and people have learned almost, it's almost like don't pet the animals at the zoo. It's like don't tip the drivers.
I feel
that
like
was kind of a thing with Uber and Lyft for a while, and it's starting to go away. But it's starting to go away because of drivers like you and I who do a good job and appreciate a tip and tell them. And I think people are picking up on, I don't think they make as much as we thought, and I think we're supposed to tip them.
Oh yeah,
but this
I
is 10
definitely
years
let
later
them
now.
know. Because I'll
this
ask,
is 10 years later. It took people a long time because they made the culture that way.
Well, I'll ask passengers. I'll be like, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but you can let me know. But are your prices like extremely high compared to what you were used to maybe even a year and a half ago? And they're like, yeah, this is crazy. I'm like, well, I'm getting paid a little bit less than I was a year and a half ago, even though your price went up.
Yeah.
And they're like, really?
And their prices can be 2 to 3 times as much. So I mean, it's not just a little, way up.
Right.
So in regards to the Tesla, so you're making about the same. I know you're having more fun driving a Tesla.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you haven't done anything stupid like use the auto feature and slept in the back seat on the highway or anything, have you?
No sleeping with the auto feature, but
I wanted to ask you though, like how does it not have a weight sensor that says this guy crawled in the back to go to bed? Maybe we should not let autopilot drive this thing.
I don't know because I haven't really done a lot of like Tesla video watching.
Right.
But the way that autopilot truly works is you do have to be in the driver's seat, and it requires you to prove that your hands are on the wheel. And it does it more often if your eyes kind of shift to the right or to the left, because I noticed when I have
must be new, because there were people dying on highways in California and Texas that were laying in the back seat with nobody else in the car.
Yeah. So that's probably the people that caused it to be the way it is now.
Well, that's the way it should have been from the get-go, man. If the weight lifts off the driver's seat, there's a problem.
Right. It's actually the camera camera watches your eyes. So when so I have my GPS right here, and I had to look at it, it would immediately flash a little blue light on the screen, like prove that your hands are on the wheel. So I've moved my mount to where the computer screen is, and that's where the Uber GPS is. So it doesn't flash me as much to prove that I'm got my hands on the wheel. You can drive it without your hands on the wheel. You just have to make sure that your eyes are staying focused.
I mean, does the Tesla like feed you back? Does it actually do things like
Right.
pull over and stop if you're just like, no?
It will
Like,
pull you over. Yeah, it will pull
really?
you over for real.
Okay.
Because it will give you time. It's like flash, 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 and then it'll start alarming if you don't prove that your hands are on the wheel. It'll start beeping, and then if you don't respond, then it'll pull it over. It never happened to me, but that's what it's designed to do. It'll pull over to the shoulder.
Right.
And then if you accelerate too fast, like, because you can still accelerate while the auto drive is on, and say there's some slow truck or whatever, and it's kind of wiggling across the lines and stuff. You're like, all right, this is my shot. I'm going to just get past this guy. Well, if you forget to turn off your auto drive and you go past 10 miles past the speed limit, it will disable your auto drive for the rest of that drive. So then you have to manually drive it, or you can just pull over, hit park, open the door, close the door, then drive again, and it'll be back on. But that's a pain.
That, I mean, I was going to ask you, so can you literally go in there and tweak all the settings off? Because I was
Yeah.
thinking Tesla probably made it so that you can't, because they don't want like a problem with a Tesla that the auto part should have solved, but then you tweaked out to be like, no, I don't want that, turn that off. And then there's a story about how this Tesla crashed
Uh-huh.
and it should have done this.
So the Tesla that I'm currently driving, because he stopped buying the full self-drive because it's an
Mm-hmm.
extra 10,000. He wants to be able to keep the prices lower. They've raised the price on Tesla in general too. So
Mm-hmm.
really the auto steer is what it's called, and the cruise control is sufficient enough.
Right.
Basically, all that the self-drive does is it'll change lanes for you. Um, you can still change lanes. It's just,
So
it's
maybe
a
the
convenience
extra
thing.
10 grand is what let you sleep in the back.
Nope, it won't. Not at least right now.
I mean, none
It
of
would
them
be,
should. I
you
don't know
could
why people
probably
do
let your
it.
kid drive it.
Yeah,
You could
I
sit your
mean,
kid there and sleep in the back. But
so
anyways,
is there anything about the Tesla you hate?
yeah, the with the way that the self-drive function works, sometimes it's like reading these speed limits, right? Especially on 470 coming towards Park Meadow from the west.
Mm-hmm.
Every single exit, it's like reading the exit speed limit, and it slows you down, and you're like, if you're not ready for it, it's just like a really fast slowdown from 70 to 45. It's like instantly slowing down, like, oh my gosh, you have to just be ready to
There's
just
nothing
keep
you
your
can
foot on
do.
the
Can you
accelerator.
get over a lane?
Yeah, it does. It reads it from every single lane.
So
I
if
think
he
it's
three
just like
lanes to
an,
the left, he exits on the right, it's still going to slow you down.
yeah, it's
That's
I
wrong.
think it's an error in whatever Google Maps person did 470 last, and
Mm-hmm.
they must have like made waypoints on each exit, and it just like slows it down to that. And then like it'll change it to 45, but then immediately after you pass the exit, it'll change it back to 70 or whatever it is, 65 there. And but you have to manually scroll the scroll wheel ball back to the speed limit. It, it just keeps you at the 45 if you don't. And so I think that's what literally happened, is because Tesla uses Google Maps, that
Mm-hmm.
whoever mapped that portion of 470 just wanted to troll Tesla drivers or something.
I've never noticed it. I see Teslas on there all the time, so I need to watch now when I'm on 470 and see if they're
Yeah,
all
if it
like,
just like all of a sudden goes slow, you're like, ah. A lot of them realize, like me, finally, I'm like, just keep my foot on the accelerator. As soon as I feel that slowdown, I just punch it.
um. So what is it? I mean, is it the same? So you said the coverage is covered. If some gig worker had Tesla, I
Uh-huh,
mean, do you have any idea what the cost of the insurance is? I mean, if you're carrying the right stuff, like we just did a thing with Buckle,
uh-huh,
great company that only covers gig workers' needs for like a commercial license whenever they need it.
uh-huh.
Because a true commercial license is you're buying so much stuff you don't need. You're paying for
Right.
all these, it's like paying for a ton of features you're not going to use
Yeah.
because
So
you
he
need these
hasn't,
two features. It's
right. He hasn't broke it down on there, but I could probably ask him what the commercial coverage is
Yeah.
for, but like it's basically I can use the commercial insurance for anything,
Right.
Amazon or my own like business basically. But it's just for vehicle coverage. I don't have like personal business coverage, like
Right, but you have
business
$1 million
insurance.
probably liability for your passengers, and
Right, right,
I mean, you right, all things that sync up with that, but,
right. It's
um
not like I'm bonded or anything like that, though.
right, um, so Tesla thing, but so again, just refresh me with how much it is a month to you?
So for me, it's 400 a week,
400 a
and
week.
yeah. So if you look at the Hertz one, it's like 300 and something
Mhm.
for Uber, but Hertz doesn't give you the access to the Tesla that this guy gives you. Um, Basically,
Oh,
on Hertz, you're locked only into Uber. Uh, you could do other things in it, but you can't get it on Lyft. But you could
that's
do like
I mean,
DoorDash and all that.
I know it's more other places like in LA, I know it can even be more, but that's still pricey, man. That's
Yeah.
$1,600 a month.
Yep. But basically, I'm down to our Ford Explorer, and I'm like, I don't want to destroy this car too. So I'm putting aside money to fix up my BMWs so that they're not just Band-Aid fixed, they're fixed.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna rent those out on Turo, get them paid off, and then
Got
not
you.
have any car notes.
So, I mean, see, again, I come back to like, though, is it really worth it? I mean, would you make more if you bought a decent car, had a payment of 250 a month?
hmm
I mean, I'm just comparing. I mean, it's
Well,
not
the
$100
other
we're talking about. It's like, let's call it 300 to 1,600. That's a big jump, man.
right. Well, the other thing is I'm able to get referrals for them. So um, I just got a driver to sign up yesterday. So once they
Mhm.
get placed into a Tesla, then I get a $25 discount off of my Tesla, and I
Okay.
can get unlimited. Anybody can get unlimited referrals up to paying off the Tesla for the week. So then you basically just pay for the tolls and the supercharging that you use.
Originally the plan, and maybe it still exists in some areas, but originally the plan was that the rideshare drivers would be able to own these Teslas. Because I remember one of my legit complaints about that is, but by the time you paid it off,
hmm
it wasn't gonna be worth anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not obligated to be in a Tesla into this guy's Tesla any longer than I paid for it. Like it's a weekly payment.
But didn't
So,
was it Lyft? Or one I thought it was Lyft. The Lyft was having a program where you were buying the Tesla.
oh, I don't know. I know Lyft right now in Denver has an express drive deal where you can rent one of their Kia Niro electric vehicles and you get free charging for 2 years. And that's what I was doing. If I had access to that, I would be doing that rather than the
So
Tesla because I make pretty good money and not have it's about like $230 a week for that vehicle.
what's up, Ellen? What's up, Monroe? Saying hi, but so but if you had to pay that fee, if you had to pay the charging fee, how much is the charging fee?
So with the charging fee on Lyft, because it's like you can charge at Electrify America, EVgo, it's about the same as gas or even more maybe. Just depends on how
Really?
fast your battery depletes, right? So if you're in the cold weather, it's depleting faster. So even though the charge cost is less, you're charging more to get the same mileage, right? In the
You're still gonna
summer,
get the
it's
same 300 miles, but you're gonna pay for
all
more
right.
of a
So
charge
it'll
because you're
say,
using
let's say it'll say 300 miles once you're full, right? Well,
mhm.
real miles in the cold weather is probably in that Kia. is probably more like 230 miles because the heater just takes that much extra energy away.
So
So
I saw
what
some of
I'm
the
saying
numbers
is,
you posted with the Tesla.
uh-huh.
I mean, it looked like those weeks were really, really good, and you're still
Yeah, I
paying that
mean,
big amount. Now, when I do the metric of like, if you were in your car before the Tesla, I feel like you are making more in the Tesla. But like you said, at the end
right,
of like we said, at the end of the week, you're not really. The Tesla's making you more money.
right. So basically, if I'm in this Tesla, I'm full time, like the same hours I put in as a salaried manager,
Right.
60 to 70 hours.
Right.
If you're not going to do that, don't, even in a regular rental, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Get yourself something that's like
I would
going to
even go as
make,
far as to say, unless you're going to do something like the Tesla these days, don't get into those rental programs. You're better off just
right.
going and finding some car somewhere.
Unless you're wanting to only do Lyft, if you only want to
Mhm.
do Lyft, you can make at least, I'd say, I don't know, like $20 to $25 an hour in January. And January is typically, I don't know if you remember or not, if it was
That's not
same for you, but January sucks for rideshare.
yes.
Outside of January, you can make like $25 to $30 an hour,
Right.
and $200 a week, and you don't have any fuel cost for at least 2 years. That would be the way to go if that's available in your city. In Denver, it is. I would do that if I could, but I can't because of that stupid lady running into me.
Right. So just you would be doing the Lyft Express,
Right. Just because, like, let's say I make $2,000,
because
then it's
I
like,
thought this was a big choice of yours to go into the Tesla world. I didn't know it was kind of like a forced hand. Like, dang, I can't do that,
yeah,
so I'm gonna have to
basically,
go this way.
yeah, because I destroyed these BMWs. Well, they're not destroyed. They're real easy fixes. They just cost money, and I don't know how to work on it myself. Even at
Right.
third-party certified mechanics, it costs a lot of money for simple fixes.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm going to put them on Turo instead of fixing them and doing more ride sharing them, because Turo is going to be less mileage and I'll be able to pay them off faster and save some money on the side for when people screw it up. But the Turo insurance really does help. If somebody screws it up, they'll fix it. And basically, right now, I'm planning on promoting the Tesla guy to people who are in these Uber rentals. Like, just you're gonna pay about the same after
This is a
gas
local
costs.
Denver guy, though.
Right.
This isn't something we could plug here on the. I mean, we can, but there's only a few drivers in Denver,
Right.
or that I mean, most of our people are catching us all over the country and
Right. It's
whatnot.
not the
So,
Hertz program. It's not the Hertz
right,
program, which
this is
will
the
be
local
available
Denver,
pretty much
but they might
everywhere.
have a local program in their area too. But yeah, this is
Yeah, I
just a
know
guy in
he said
Denver.
he's planning on going into Utah and California, but I don't know what his long-term future looks like with it.
Right. So anybody in the Denver area, though, make sure to hit the notes up on here. And if you, is there a link or is it do you have to make a call? What do you have to do?
Yeah, so I have a link on, I believe, my last video. It's
You have a
TES.
referral link that takes you to it.
Yeah, it's just TES test driver,
Okay.
like Tesla without the LA,
Uh-huh.
testdriver.com. And then he's got all of his information about the program on there. And then you just have
Well, I
to
mean,
fill
so
out.
it would give you the referral, though, is what I meant.
Yeah,
Because we do have a
as long
handful
as
of
I put it
drivers
on.
that we know around here. You never know, one might want to get into a Tesla, one might get in an accident, one might have a situation. I don't know.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
if that gets you a discount, I mean, I'm going to put your referral link in the show notes. If it's a
Yeah.
direct link that gets you that 25, just in
Yeah. So
case.
it's the link, and then either my YouTube name, The Driven Dad, or just Tony will work.
Okay.
It'll link back to me because he's got a spot on the application. Who referred
Oh,
me?
to just type it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll put all that up there in the show notes. So other than that, I mean, you're earning good. You're doing good. And back to rideshare, are you doing delivery anymore or just rideshare?
Yeah, so
You're still doing some delivery in the morning, you said, after you charge.
yeah, so since I don't like dealing with crazy people at night, I will definitely do the dinner shift rather than drive crazy people.
Right.
During the week, you could do rideshare or delivery, but
Mhm.
definitely events. And I'd rather deliver food for people watching the event on TV than take people to the event downtown.
I understand that. However, with food delivery, they kind of keep you in the market a little bit better.
Yeah, I can control my dollars per mile a lot better with food delivery. So,
So what are you doing more of? What's the breakdown here? I guess maybe that's kind of
uh-huh,
what how we should wrap all this up. Is like how much rideshare are you doing? How much food delivery are you doing? Because that probably breaks down if it's in a percentage to which way is earning you more because I know you're doing it
uh-huh.
by what's paying you best. So
Right. Well, the way my schedule's set up right now, because I'm really trying to focus on being present with my kids more,
hmm
is that I want to be here in the afternoon through the evening. My wife's been doing some food delivery at night for the dinner shift because she's home with them, homeschooling them all day. Gets her a break, gets me in there. Um, but I'd say overall, our earnings are probably like 60-40, 60% delivery, 40% rideshare. Just because outside of this month, rideshare in the morning is just bing, 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 bing. But as soon as
right.
Valentine's Day hits, it's like the companies let people travel again, and everybody's given up on their saving resolutions, and they're like, "Screw it, let's go party."
Right. Right. Then New Year's fully kicked in. But yeah, I mean, like, so, but I would guess that three,
Oh,
4 months
the
ago,
other
you were
thing,
doing 0% in rideshare. So, I
right?
mean, it is starting to
So
creep way back
it's
up.
what it is. It has to do with your drive, whatever you're passionate about. Like if you want to do rides, like I love doing rideshare because I can interact with people. Food delivery,
I've always say that too. People call me crazy, but I prefer
uh,
rideshare as well.
right? Well, and in food delivery, when I need to make money, uh, dinner on the weekends is the way to go. Like I will not trade dinner on the weekends to do rideshare just because you can make 40, $50 an hour on most weekends if you're multi-apping. And it is
Right.
stressful to multi-app, but just do it if you want to make that kind of money. You only have to do it like 2 or 3 nights. The rest of the week, you can just chill, do things one at a time or whatever. You're not going to make that much more during the week multi-apping, anyways.
And if you
My
have an
opinion.
Android, use the Middleton Tech apps, people.
Yeah, I
I
have
mean, they're out
iPhone
there
and
and they
Android.
all crush it for you, you know,
Yep.
from Flex, DUH, but even Maximo, which some people might have forgot about during the pandemic. I don't know. But
Yeah. So the
Maximo
other
will
thing
crush it
is,
too.
I was doing a lot of the Uber bonuses, and I would cheat a little bit and do Uber Eats. Now I'm locked out of the rideshare bonuses for till they reevaluate me, I guess. So I wouldn't recommend doing too much Uber Eats when you're trying to do Uber rideshare bonuses.
Yeah, I've heard this, everything's always market. And I'm always talking with people all around the country. But to be honest, I'm hearing a lot of the same thing right now about Uber Eats just kind of really going downhill. They all have their highs and lows, DoorDash, Grubhub. I know Postmates is oddly still in a couple markets, even though Uber
Uh-huh.
owns it, it's still there.
Right.
But I've heard from a lot of people that just the overall experience of Uber Eats has just really, really gone away. It's just
Right.
it doesn't pay good. The customers aren't happy. People are not happy with the whole thing.
Well, I still run Uber Eats on a separate app. So I've got my rideshare Uber and I got my Uber Eats Uber. And on my rideshare Uber, I also can do Uber Eats. Just kind of screwed me over because I did all those bonuses with knocking out double orders on Uber Eats. Um, but there is a lot of trash on Uber Eats in Denver, at least. But
Mhm.
there is a lot of good orders on there too. You just have to be
Okay.
patient.
Why did you do the second app? Just because of acceptance rate and crossover and worrying
Right.
about would it affect your
So,
rideshare?
right, exactly. And then they changed things. It's because, like, for a while there, they're like, you're doing a lot of food delivery. Do you want to switch to food delivery? And I could say no. Well, last month they changed it to, oh, you did too much food delivery. You're getting those bonuses now, which is basically just a boost. They don't do
So if
any
one of your
ride
accounts,
promos.
one of your accounts is Uber Eats only,
Hmm.
and then the other account is your driver account for Uber, which all you had to do is like click a button, add Uber Eats to.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Because that's what mine is. I never added a second
Yeah.
account. But
Yeah.
I always
So
kind
I
of wondered
had,
about that with Uber, unlike Grubhub and DoorDash, who take into account acceptance rate for nothing,
mhm.
because I know tons of people under 5%.
Right. Yeah. I have,
So I mean, but I always was curious about the rideshare, how Uber treated it if you were doing both through the same app.
yeah.
Like, hey,
So,
acceptance on Uber Eats pretty low. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. So
yeah, this
it's
month I've definitely switched to just doing Uber Eats on my Uber Eats only account so I can get my rideshare bonuses back because without those bonuses, at least here in Denver, it's just like so hard to make good money. Like Lyft, unless Lyft gives streak bonuses, which they have not been doing as many
right.
as they had. Last week it did, but this week they got it at 7 o'clock for $35 for 5 rides, and that's it. I'm like, that ain't gonna get me nothing. I need
No,
those like,
I saw some really great ones coming through. I've not seen any this calendar year yet,
yeah.
but
So I'm hoping
even
next week.
probably I can honestly say back to like December 20th, maybe, let's say.
Hmm.
But everything like October, November last year, I was getting like crazy offers.
Yeah,
Like, do
I prefer
this,
the streak bonuses actually because
you
you
know, to
get,
do this many right, and they would do the, over the weekend or on a Monday through Friday, and I'd get it and be like, do this and get $700. And be like, what?
yeah, that's what I
Like,
was
it
doing.
can't be
And
right. Unless nobody, and I kept saying that can't be right unless nobody's riding again, and people are riding again. So I was like,
yeah,
what is this?
it was super busy until January hit,
Right.
which I think has a lot to do with nobody coming in from business, and then the
And
few people
everybody's
just decide.
tightening their pocketbook strings. They just, I mean, we
Yeah.
all just, you got kids, I got one
Yep.
kid, and I went too far all out spending, and then Christmas passes, and you're like counting
Uh huh.
change and stuff, and you go through those weeks and
Yep.
months of, oh crap, man. I
At
think everybody's
least.
kind of in that mode, but then it builds up
Yeah.
through January, and I can only speak for where Tony and I live, but then everybody kind of gets this cabin fever in January, and by February it's like boom.
Yeah. As
It's
soon as
like
Valentine's Day.
everybody's
Valentine's Day
got to
is
get out of the
the,
house, man.
yeah. And then you just put a bucket of candy back there, and people are like, "Oh, here's some tips."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does. People, you're totally right when you sit around Valentine's Day, but I'd even say February, because I know from going up snowboarding a lot too. Like, it's right around. It's not. We just had Martin Luther King Day, but it's right around whatever President's Day is.
Yeah. It's like the
After
first
President's Day,
Monday.
yeah, and then we start seeing spring breakers from Texas that start showing up in late February, even though
Yeah.
it's not till March. And so then, I don't know, the whole state kind of gets packed again, and things get going,
Yeah.
and the bars get going. But January is just a hurting month. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that the people I've talked to this January in Colorado are doing as well as they are, because in years past, that's not what I've heard in January.
Yeah. It's this week was definitely the most January like week I've had.
Right. So I've been actually kind of, I did this. I got challenged by somebody that, I've done food, I've done rideshare, I've done all these things, but I got challenged by some listeners of the podcast that I hadn't done any of the grocery ones. I hate grocery shopping. Hate it. I hate doing it for
Yeah.
myself. Why would I do it? They said, because you
The
need to.
only,
All these other platforms, you need to. So I did an Instacart ship challenge, and I'm still doing shipped right now because I'm loving it. I make about 30-35 bucks an hour, and I don't have to go
uh-huh.
very far. I just keep going back to Target, back and forth to Stilton Target, Northfield,
Uh-huh.
and I get like 2-3 mile runs. They're pretty easy. I don't know why Instacart sucks. Bottom
Yeah,
line,
Instacart, I've only done
the
Instacart
people who
whenever they
say
give
it's
me a
good,
bonus.
we're just not gonna have a good conversation, because Instacart sucks, dude. I mean,
At
I
least in
am
Denver.
amazed at what they pay. Yeah, I mean, I have
I don't
seen
know
to
anywhere
date.
else.
today alone, I saw 3 batch order, so 3 drop-offs. There was like 70 items, and the pay was $33, but 21 of that
That's
was a
gonna.
tip. So 1197 was the Instacart order batch for all 3. And I just claimed last week that there's no way that they go under $4 an order, because even that $4 is ridiculous. You spend an hour shopping and take it to an address, drop it off for $4. No one do that. When I did this, it made it $3.99. So they actually went down 1 penny. I was like, dude, seriously, like, this is it summarized everything I felt about the company. Now I hate them with a passion, and I will do everything in my power to make sure people do not sign up for Instacart, at least here in Denver. I'm gonna say that, because they are here to pay you nothing.
Yeah.
I don't even know why it exists.
Last time I did Instacart was like March or something like that, maybe April. They gave me like $20 bonus per order that I did, and I did that, and then I haven't done it since.
Yeah. I mean,
I tried to sign up for Shipt, but they rejected my. I guess my interview sucked.
Oh, why did you? I mean, they're pretty simple
I don't
questions,
know.
but that is a weird.
Know.
Shipt is a weird onboarding process, because Shipt has members. So the Shipt users are they pay a membership fee like Amazon.
Okay.
They either pay a year or they pay this or that. It takes their delivery fees way down. And some people have claimed, like, hey, if they're paying that, there's no way they're going to want a tip. But I've found the opposite, that they're paying their $99 for the year fee or whatever they pay a month, and they pay that $99, and then they see that they don't have to pay much for the delivery, and they do tip. And there's a flow screen at the end that has tip. I'm telling you that 75% of the shipped orders I do are tips.
Well, maybe I'll reapply. I think when I applied is around the time that, like, everybody was doing Instacart, getting all those big batches, and I was like, I turned on Instacart, and it was like bots were taking them, or I don't know. I was just too slow at it. And so I was like, well, let me try Shipt. I think probably I got rejected is because they just had too many people signing up at that time. So maybe I'll try signing up again.
And that's the same thing that happened when everybody was telling me, like, about Grubhub. Everybody was telling me about Grubhub. No, you won't, sign up for Grubhub because you won't get on it for like a year. I already knew that. I had talked to people who had tried to get on Grubhub, and it does have a long waiting list, and I appreciate that, because why would I want to be added if you don't have the business to give me? I don't want to be added. I'd rather be put on the wait list and understand, okay,
right.
I don't want to be on there until you got work for me.
Yeah,
I got other platforms to work, but I did Grubhub, and this was a really weird experience, because I applied for Grubhub. Everybody told me it would take 6 months to a year. I applied at like 10 at night, and the next morning it was good to drive. And they had already run my background through Checker, but I'd already like onboarded 2 other apps that month. And I honestly think that they just took a Checker check from like 2 weeks prior and were like, hey, he's good. I mean, from working with Para, the time, all the time I spent with Para, I learned a lot of things. Checker charging $27 per check is pathetic, because that's all they charge to people who do bulk checks on people. And $27, how much are you looking into?
Right.
How much can you find out about me for $27? Nothing. I mean, that's like paying somebody for 1 hour to just look into my history a bit.
Right. It's basically a DMV check.
Okay. I mean, if even, I bet you it's like 2 minutes. They're charging $27. It's like 2 minutes of work. 1 minute.
Yeah. It's just a computer.
It's just that. It's just a quick, fun. As long as you didn't kill somebody, you're good. Or something along those lines. I feel like people just, and then people who should pass or sometimes get shut down because it's the wrong person. I've heard about that happen. Oh, hey, my background check wasn't for me though. They can't get fixed now. They can't drive Uber because the background check on the wrong person and they send it back. You have this and that. No, I don't.
Right.
But then they want to argue with it. They're just like, well, we're done with that. We already closed that. It's done.
Yeah, that's
I don't
what,
know.
like when I signed up
This
for
is
Instacart, it took them like 3 months in order for me to even get the checker to go through.
yeah. I mean well during the pandemic that happened. I don't
Well,
know
I
why.
signed
It's
up
not like
for Instacart like 2 years before the pandemic.
I know
I
during the
was
pandemic
doing,
they got real behind. I was like, why? It's a computer. It just
yeah,
runs it. There's no don't need to be in an office to do it. You
yeah.
know.
Well, I feel like what you said about Shipt is similar for the Amazon Prime people too when they order their Whole Foods. Because when I was able to do Amazon Flex, I got locked out because I didn't show up to shifts on time when I was going to the new Whole Foods in Castle Rock because there was
Okay.
some glitch with their GPS there, and they wouldn't forgive me for it, I guess.
You're
But
talking
when I
about like
was able,
flex, right? Yeah.
yeah, when I was able to do those Whole Foods, I was getting tips like crazy on there, and that's another thing where it's like $99. You don't pay delivery fees, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they still pay them to ship people. I just think it's such a small amount. It's like with
Right.
Amazon. I know, like I have Amazon Prime, and I know that I look for Prime, so I don't have to pay for any shipping. However, if it was like $15 every ship, and then I paid, or you could pay 99 for a year, and it was free. Every once in a while, it was, or every order was $2 to ship. Still on
Hmm.
Prime, I would be much more likely to tip because as the money adds up on each order you're just less likely to want to throw down more money because you're counting the dollars. But if you've already spent that 99, even though it's got to be added into the equation, you probably just kind of treat it a little different if you're the customer. Like this guy needs a tip.
Right. Right.
And I've
Like it's
found that
not.
on Ship, the quicker you are to, they actually tip you accordingly. If you're quick, if you do your job right, if you text
Uh-huh.
them from the store, if something's missing and you're just in contact with them, they'll treat you awesome. You know what I mean? They'll
Right.
tip you
Well,
huge. I've
and
even had
Target's
people
way
text me
easier to
back and go, "I
shop
can't
too.
believe that you're texting me and asking me this next question. You're
Uh-huh.
awesome." And then my because you can see a tip pre-tip on Ship too when you pick it up, and they would add to it. I've never had one taken back of it, no baiting, and I've had tips added to at the end of the day because I went the extra mile. So it makes
Right.
me wonder how many people don't go the extra mile too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those of us who do, I think that we know and can say that yes, going the extra mile. I'm sure there's times where like you're like, why did I do that? That guy was a jerk. Why did I do that? But if you go the extra mile, you're gonna get paid better. This is the bottom line, man. There will be times you don't, but when you do, you'll notice it.
Just a warning, my
So
kids just got home.
no, that's all good. We're wrapping it up here anyway, but I just wanted to say to anybody out there, if like you've tried it a couple times and you had bad luck, just keep doing it because it is the service industry. You will get people who are like really appreciative of your work, and we'll tip you a little better. But
Yeah.
Tony, let's play your stuff while we wrap this up.
Yeah, the only thing I really pay attention to is my YouTube channel. I quit doing Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Like
So nowhere but
I can't
YouTube.
get with that stuff. I'm only
All
on
right, I'll
YouTube
make sure to
and
tag it
Rumble,
in the
I
show
guess.
notes. Oh, that's right. I saw you were on Rumble. I'll have to go in one of your videos and get that link too.
Yeah.
I thought that was for another time because I thought that was interesting that you were on Rumble because you're one of the first people to start that I saw that was starting to populate another platform other than YouTube because of all
Uh-huh.
the shutdowns I figured that were happening on YouTube. You're getting smart and you're like, I'll put this stuff up over here in case,
Yep. In
you
case I say
know,
something stupid.
or they rip your channel down for no reason.
Yep.
You never know. I
Yep.
mean, we've seen a lot of things. So
Yeah.
hey, it was awesome having you on. We should do a some kind of collab, here as it gets warmer in the April, May month, in
Yeah.
person or something.
Yeah. I'm good for that too.
Yeah. But right on, man. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. You guys, before I wrap up, I have one quick thing to say. I got a lot of guests coming on. Coming up, let me see if I can remember. Next week we have We're throwing Instacart under the bus. I got 2 special guests who are going to be on with that for me. I got Pedro's coming on. Mr. Flex is coming on. These are for live Thursdays too. These are not for the Rodeo podcast. Kim is coming on. Nick Beacon is coming on, and I guess Gig Lebowski's coming on. So all those people through February are the live Thursdays. So
Awesome.
checking it out. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. So that's awesome. Thank you for coming on tonight, Tony, and I'll let you get to your family.
All right. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah. And I'll plug everything. I'll plug your YouTube in the show notes. So have a good
All
night,
right, thank you.
guys. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
See ya.